So now I'm going to start to paint this, and I didn't show you in my last video, but I just added a border, and what I do with my borders is I like to do them really uneven because I'm going to do them uneven anyway. So I kind of scribble them in. I do them double width, and they're just scribbled in. I add a little more weight on the corners. So you can see my stuff is kind of moved over a little bit. So if you're ever doing journaling and you think it's not perfect, just remember this, because mine is never perfect. There's always something wrong with my drawing, and this one, my letters are kind of off center because I was hurrying things up. So I'm just as imperfect as everyone else, as you can see, and I'm not all that good at it, but I'm going to show you some fun stuff. I'm going to be using acrylic paint, and what I did is I picked up a package of these. I hope you can see them in the camera there. Let me stand up and peek. This is called Artist Loft, and I got like 48 of them. There's also a different brand that I saw on Amazon, and I'm gonna link that in the description for you, because I don't see Artist Loft on Amazon.com, so maybe they don't have it, but I know that the other one is very similar, so I'll link that. But you can also get a lot of acrylic paint at the dollar store, so you might want to check there. It's thinner, but it's definitely worth it. I love to buy my black and white at the dollar store because I know I'm going to use a lot of white. So let's get started. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use yellow ochre. These are my favorites. I'm going to use turquoise. I'm going to use crimson, and I'm going to use some white. Boom. What I'm also going to use is a little eyedropper. You can see I got paint on there, and I use this for adding water to my paints. The trick here is if you're doing water, if you're doing acrylics over your Bible page, it's not going to show through, and you'll see that I use a ton of paint on my page. I use a ton of water, I should say, on my page. It's soaking wet, so the pages actually can tear very easily, but use a little bit of paint and a lot of water and you'll get better results. So I'm going to go get some clean water to get started, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back. I've got some water in my eyedropper. I've got one of these handy little tools that I bought at the craft store. You can get these for like $1.50, the small ones. They're cheap. I think they have them at the dollar store too. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to grab some paper towel, and I keep a little dish of water beside my desk too, because I'm using a ton of water. You can also use watercolor pencils. I'll put links to those in the description. And there's Inktense is really wonderful. They give you bright colors, and watercolors are less messy, and they're a lot of fun to use. And I started out with watercolors, and I more recently just hopped on over to acrylics, because I love that acrylics cover up all my mistakes. So it's pretty cool. If I make a mistake in my lettering, I can just go over with a bit of white. All right, instead of chatting my brains off, let's get started. I'm going to take the red to start. I'm going to mix it halfway with white so I get a nice pink. Maybe not halfway, maybe just a bit of white. Boom. And now I'm going to add about 3 drops of water. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. All right. I grab a number 6 brush, and this one is an acrylic brush. It's a number 6. All right, so mix this all up. I start with my light color first. Last night I started with dark colors, and I was like, you know what, that's not the best idea. Okay, see that on my brush? That is way too much paint. I actually need to go to my paper towel now, clean it completely off, dip it in the water, clean it off again. I'm going to use a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of paint. I'm going to put these aside. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the roses completely. They're going to look so muddy, you're going to wonder how they ever turn out looking good in the end. But they will once I go over them with black pen again. I got a little bit of pencil lines, but that's okay because acrylics are so forgiving. And that's why I started using them, because I love them. So here we go. I'm just going to practice going over my roses. I don't have enough water. You can see that my paint is kind of thick. So let me grab a bit of water here. Oh, I forgot. I got to put a page in behind so I protect the page underneath. See, there's no paint that's going through. It's not so much to protect it from the paint, but what I'm doing is protecting it from the water, because I'm going to be getting this page soaking wet. So here I go, putting my protective page underneath. I've got my brush really wet now, and I can smoosh this paint all over. I'm going all over, and I'm going to just add red accents later. I could even go with a lighter pink, you know, but I like to have my light and dark shades not too far apart from each other. I think it gives it a better look to go with like a crimson red and a pink instead of a crimson red and a white, because then I really have to do a lot of blending, and I don't have those kind of skills. And you'll see I'm actually not that good at this. I'm just fairly new. So take some more paint, get some more water, because that paint is not watery enough. Where's my little eyedropper? There it is. I'm going to add another 1 or 2 drops of water with my eyedropper. I want it to be super, super, super soupy. There you go. Super soupy. Here I go. This looks so much better, yeah. It's a very thin, and I'm hardly using any. So that's why I really don't think I... Okay, so my camera cut out there, and I hope I didn't lose any of my video, but I'll just keep on going from where I was. And so what I'm doing is I'm painting all of my roses with a lot of water, going over these. The water helps to blend it well. I said in my other videos I have essential tremor, so I'm going to have a lot of shakes. You'll have to just give me grace where my shakes are, because I can't get rid of them. But God is able to use me despite that, which is pretty cool. I love it. So here we go. I try not to go onto the words. I love to be able to read my words, so I will put a wash of color over them later, but for now, I'm just gonna put a little bit of pink up to that part. A little more pink. This is where I imagine a rose would continue on. And I'll go there and here. And you're gonna think, oh, she's wrecking them because she's going over all the lines and everything. And yeah, it looks like that. But once I put a little red shading on them, and I pen them over again at the end. I pen everything over with black micron pen. It looks really good. So, well, I think it looks really good. But yeah, it sure makes a difference after when you can go over everything again. I think one of the biggest things that I find with doing artwork is that shading makes a difference. If I could give you any piece of advice when it comes to painting, this is it. You need contrast on your page. You need white and you need black, and some people's artwork looks like it's so much more. Here I'm turning the Bible upside down. Ew, I made a mistake there, but you know what? That's okay, because I can always paint that over with white paint. Like I said, my acrylics are so forgiving. So anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought there. What was I gonna say? I don't know. I just saw a pink spot, so whatever it was. When I watch this video over, I'm gonna go, oh yeah, that's what I want to say. But I won't do all of that right now, because it's one of those times where you can't remember what you wanted to say, and then you just can't get it out of your head, right? So, oh, I know, I think. I was talking about contrast, that's it. So that's my biggest piece of advice to you. People's artwork sometimes looks like it pops off the page. And the reason it pops off the page are for 2 reasons. One is that there is some red in the image. Red is a warm color. It's the warmest of all the colors, and it's going to make your artwork pop. The other one is contrast. So if you've got whites and blacks, or lights and darks, greens and reds, that's going to make things really pop out for you. And so that's what I try to do, is I put some red. I love turquoise and red. I'm kind of addicted to turquoise and red lately. I don't know what it is, but almost all my Bible journaling has turquoise and red in it. And I think I'm going to leave a little bit of white in the background. I don't usually do that, but you know what? I kind of like it. So here I go. You're probably getting dizzy because I turn my Bible over and over and over. And yeah, that's what I do. I turn it and I turn it because I'm left-handed. So when I get to the edge like this, I'm like, okay, so we had some technical difficulties there. Sorry about that. You're probably going to see a lot of technical difficulties in my tutorials because I have no idea what I'm doing yet. And so I'm going to start painting these up. I'm going to use a bit of yellow ochre. You can use watercolor pencils, would look good too, but I am using acrylic paint. So I got a bit of yellow ochre. And remember, I'm adding water to all of these. I want to have a nice green, so maybe I'll use light green or a sap green. Let me see what I have. Oh, I happen to have light green handy. Artist Loft, light green. And putting them on here, if you can see that. I try to get as little as I can on there, but I always get a big blob, which is too bad. Because I really, look at how much pink I have left. I've got tons of paint. Okay, so I'm going to add about 1, 2, 3 drops of water to each one, maybe 4 or 5. All right, now, I'm going to grab my watercolor brush. Really? That doesn't matter. Watercolor brush works fine too if you have one of those. And I can see I've still got some green on there from like last night. Oops. So just mixing up my green. I forgot. I'm going to do the yellow first. So here I go. I'm going to add some yellow before I do the green. That yellow seems kind of dark, so I'm going to add some white to it. I like a nice bright yellow, you know?